So we are fortunate enough to be joined now by Brandon Gaudin of Fox, Big Ten Network, Westwood One, and the voice of Madden NFL football. Brandon, I appreciate you coming on. Before we get going here, why don't we show people your call of Roosevelt Jones's buzzer beater in 2013? It's featured in Region C against Matt LePay in the play-in round. It's our featured matchup of the day on the radio side in the play-in round.
The inbounder will be David Stockton. David Stockton gets it right now. Throws it up top. Jones intercepts it in the front court. 1 second. Puts up a floater. And he got it. 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 Roosevelt Jones with a runner at the buzzer. And Butler has knocked off Gonzaga 64-63. Unbelievable. And it is absolute bedlam at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Take us through the moment a little bit. We know all about Hinkle and the madness that happens there. Take me through the call.
Yeah, well, I'm a Butler alum, and that was obviously a special job to get to be back there calling their games. And that specific game, Butler was ranked 13th, Gonzaga 8th. That was the first time that College game day had ever come to Hinkle Fieldhouse. So it was a big day on campus. Of course, Butler had recently become known nationally because of the 2 Final Fours. So there was just a ton of buzz around that game. Butler was missing arguably their best player due to injury, and so many people thought Gonzaga would roll. But Butler just kind of held in there, and then that improbable ending when Gonzaga had the ball and Rose Jones stole it. And as he was going down, you just got the feeling when he stole the ball, I just thought somehow Butler's going to pull this off, because at Butler they call that Hinkle magic, and you could just feel a little bit of Hinkle magic picking up. And I've been in Hinkle for a lot of loud moments over the years. That was bar none the loudest that I have ever heard Hinkle Fieldhouse.
That was going to be my question to you, if it's ever been louder, because I'm thinking about the Butler program. You took over there, if I'm right here, after the first championship run, you took over and spent 3 years there. So you're talking about going to a Final Four, a national championship game in your first year working with Butler. But I was going to ask you where that environment ranks in terms of when you've called games at Butler. So it's obviously up there.
Yeah, it's certainly number one. And there were a lot of good ones. Interesting thing, when I went to college there, so I was there from 03 to 06, and Butler was good. Butler was starting to gain traction, but it just wasn't a known entity nationally. So you could go as a student up to the gate right before the game and get a seat in the student section with no problem. You can't do that now. Now there's a line out the door, and students fight to get one of those seats in the student section. So it had come a long way from when I was there until that moment in 2013, which was really neat to see. But I've been back several times to call games for Fox since then. I've just been there as a fan for several big-time games in the Big East since they joined that conference. But still, that moment, and when Roosevelt Jones hit that shot, there was a decibel level inside that building that has never been reached before or since.
Where do you rank that call in terms of all the moments that you've called on radio? And obviously you've been at Georgia Tech, and then you've now at Westwood One calling a lot of games that are bigger than that one.
Yeah, I've been lucky. It seems like I've had a lot of buzzer beaters, specifically on radio. I had the Jordan Poole, Michigan buzzer beater for Westwood One in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago when they beat Houston. And so just to call a buzzer beater in the NCAA tournament of that magnitude to send a team to the Sweet 16 it's just one of those moments you always dream about. At Georgia Tech, the biggest call that I had was when they beat Florida State on a blocked field goal return for a touchdown, and Florida State was in the top 10, and Georgia Tech was having a bad year, but it was at home, under the lights, Midtown Atlanta. You could see the skyline in the background. It was a beautiful setting, a perfect night, and that was one of the neatest plays and one of the most fun calls that I've ever been a part of.
As we kind of talk about the bracket here, and obviously you're in the play-in region, real quick, Matt LePay, the voice of the Wisconsin Badgers, he's your matchup in the play-in round today. Curious about your relationship with Matt, and if you've heard his call about the Bronson Koenig game winner for Wisconsin.
I have. It's awesome. And, Jack, I got to tell you, I think you set me up to fail because, first of all, I love Matt LePay, and that was an awesome call. And then if whoever wins this, they've got to go they take on Jack Buck for his call of Kirk Gibson's homer.
That's right.
So I think no matter who wins, me or Matt, our stay in the bracket's going to be shorter than Zion and Duke. But, yeah, look, Matt LePay, I have gotten to know the last couple of years just calling Wisconsin games and being around the Big Ten a lot. I've listened to him for a long time. I've heard him on Brewers games. He's an awesome dude. I mean, first and foremost, he's just a great guy, and he's obviously fantastic at what he does. Everybody in the industry knows that. So I like his call a lot. I'll probably be voting for Matt in round 1. And if I would somehow beat Matt, I'm certainly going to vote for Jack Buck and that iconic call in round 2.
It's funny that the major criticism I've gotten is the match. How can you pin this guy against this guy? The problem is, and this is, a compliment to you, Brandon, that we've got the 68, arguably the 68 greatest radio calls of the last 50 years in here. So obviously there's going to be some matchups that are, it's just tough. So
yeah, no, I'm sure a lot of people have told you this. I just think it's cool what you're doing. It was a neat idea, and I know it's how hard it is to track down those calls, and some calls that you probably wanted to get that you couldn't get in there. So just to be a part of it and to be nominated, even if it is a one and done scenario, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. That's Brandon Gaudin, again, Fox, BTN, and now Westwood One. But his call featured here was when he was the voice of the Butler Bulldogs. Brandon, stay safe, and best of luck in the playing round against Matt LePay.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Jack.